AFTV, Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 2, Turkish. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Far from good enough today.
No, not at all, man. It feels like we fucked it. You know, it feels like we fucked it. I expected to drop points in the running, but this wasn't one of the games I expected to drop points in. Especially when you look at Aston Villa's form going into it, the amount of goals they've been conceding, the fact that, you know, we are partly here, some would say majority reason why we're here is defensively we've been so resolute. So all the odds stacked in our favour going into it. Liverpool lose their game at Anfield against Palace. You know, it's a chance for us to go clear at the top three of Liverpool, one of City. And yeah, we fucked it, man. I said whoever drops points first out of Arsenal and City, the other will probably go on to win the league. I've just seen Lee talk, and he said it's not over, but it's over. I get what he mean. You know, it feels like it's over. Yeah, no, but then people will come and bring out their calculators, and you know, 2 points behind, 7 games to go or 6 games to go. Yes, we can hope, we can pray City do slip up along the way, but this ain't their first rodeo. You know, they've been here before. Anytime they get given the advantage, they seize upon it. You know, name me a Premier League title race that when given the lead, they haven't, you know, gone on to win the title. They haven't. Only that Liverpool one sticks out, and Liverpool won it, you know, after about 20 games that season. So now the odds are stacked completely against us. And, you know, this week has been a big blow off the back of the Munich game as well as this one now. Our season's hanging on by a thread.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from, Turkish. And obviously going back to this game, you know, I think the starting 11 even rustled a few feathers. What did you make of that starting 11? Obviously there was some raised eyebrows with the inclusions of Zinchenko, Havertz in the midfield, no Martinelli starting. Did you agree with the lineup from the start?
I'll be honest with you, Frank. I don't like. As the season's gone on, I've cared less and less about waiting for the starting 11 because you know, people know that over 2 years ago now, I was quite critical of Arteta, and you know, at times I praised him. At times, people tend to forget that, but you know, he's proved me wrong over and over again since that time. Hence why I'm fully supportive the last couple of years. But I just think now that we're at a stage where Arteta his system, his philosophy is the main reason why we are competing. So the players he picks, you know, we're at a point now. This is a positive. We're at a point now where I don't really mind, you know, who plays. You know, earlier this season I was critical of Havertz, and look, this calendar year we're winning games with Havertz in the side, and at times because of Havertz. So the starting 11 stuff for me, don't pay too mind. But now we're talking about in hindsight, and I look at it and think, Jorginho didn't start against Munich, did he?
I don't think he did.
No. Wait, let me get that one right. Did Jorginho start against Munich?
No, he did. He
did start. Sorry, Partey didn't start against Munich. Sorry, that Partey didn't start against Munich. So I would have thought that Partey would have started this game. He didn't. Havertz, first half of the season, didn't really do his thing in midfield. Now, I actually think this was probably his best midfield performance.
Yeah.
You know, I know he's got a goal for us from midfield before, and I know he's got an assist or two maybe from midfield, but I think we're all in agreement that, you know, him playing as a striker is his best position. But I think, you know, even though I'm questioning maybe why Havertz got put into midfield instead of going with someone who, you know, is a bit more secure, he in the first half, he was part of a couple good moments. One, he should have scored, but Jesus should have scored.
Absolutely.
And Trossard should have scored. So, you know, we can talk about Zinchenko starting the game. Why don't we, you know, go with Kivior again, who, okay, he had a poor one against Bayern Munich, I think, against City as well, if I'm not mistaken. But generally, against teams, you know, like Villa, below their mid-tape, Kivior has done his thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that Havertz thing as well, obviously, I completely agree with what you're saying in terms of Mikel's choosing his lineups and stuff like that. But I think the bigger question is, you know, do you think it was the right time for Arteta to try that again? Because, you know, 8 times out of 10, Havertz in the midfield didn't work. Like you said, there were the odd games where it did work, but then overall, it didn't particularly work out that well. Do you think now was the time to try that again?
I question the Zinchenko one more.
Yeah.
Because Zinchenko's there to help us control the midfield, and I don't feel like we was ever really in control. So I feel like that one is the more questionable one for me. Was it the right time for that? I don't think so. For Havertz is his guy. I don't really want to talk about him too much, but it's funny how, when he scores a goal or he gets an assist, people are always, mentioning me about it. But, the last couple of games, Bayern included, I haven't seen a great Havertz. Jesus comes off the bench against Munich, looks good. Today, first half, couple good moments like Havertz, but what I'm going to remember him for in this game, like Havertz in this game, like Trossard in this game, is they all should have scored a goal in the first half. It was pretty much on a plate for Trossard. Come on, bro. Like, as much as you got us back in it against Munich, that was a chance there, because if we go 1-0 up, we win this game easy.
Any credit there for Martinez, though? I personally still feel, while it is still a bad miss from Trossard, it's still a fantastic save from Martinez. Do you think that can be both situations, or do you think Trossard 100% has to do better there?
Yeah, 100% he has to do better, because Martinez did all he could do, which was stick his leg out. It turns into what can be described as a great save, but the reality is, when you look at it, Trossard's got 95%, 92% of that goal to aim for, and he goes straight to a place where Martinez can reach it, and that's not good enough. But like I said, there's a few players in that first half where they was involved in good moments, great football at times. Odegaard was the orchestrator of it all, but in the final third, our finishing really let us down, and to not score against this Villa side in this moment in time, against Emery, who we know, opens up, and they sure opened up today. We just didn't take our chances.
Absolutely. And obviously, moving away from that first half and the starting 11, the changes, this is a two-parted question, obviously. What did the personnel that you brought into the game and the people that you took off of? Again, there was a lot of eyebrows raised about the decision to take Ben White off instead of Zinchenko for Takehiro Tomiyasu. And then B, the timing of the changes. That's probably been the one thing that I've been critical of Mikel Arteta of in terms of his changes. It just feels like, he makes the changes 10 minutes or 10, 15 minutes after everyone has already got it in their mind. And obviously by that point, there's not really enough time to make any sort of impact. What did you make of that?
Changes were slow. Mm-hmm. They were slow, man. But again, we've seen before, quite a few times, Arsenal pull out late goals because Arteta has hung in there. But today, now we've lost the game too. You look at it in the second half, really Aston Villa were the better team. We really didn't look like we cared, Frank. That's the biggest thing for me. We didn't look like we cared. Over the 45 minutes in the second half, we didn't look like we cared. When the final whistle went, we didn't really look like we cared. And that's a big thing for me, because it does... Listen, in these moments, emotion can carry you over the line. And it looks like we are emotionally suppressed at times. We are too robotic. It is so system-based that, not only is the freedom to express yourself on the ball hampered, but also maybe it also hampers the lack of, I don't know, because it's mad. Today there's no intensity, no hunger, no emotion, no drive, no fight, no will, no realization that any drop points now at this stage, puts City as heavy favourites, puts City in a position that I haven't seen any team catch up to, whether it be 2 points, whether it be 1 point, like Liverpool was a few years ago, chasing them 1 point behind, for a good few games. They embarrassed themselves at that, I'll be honest. Listen, the manager's got to take a lot of the blame as well. Yeah. I say a lot. I think the managers and the players equally, because first half we should have been in the lead. Like I said, Havertz on midfield done well in terms of breaking into the box. Jesus, I think, done well aside from his miss. Trossard should have scored. But in the second half, I don't know what was said at half time. Yep. And I don't know why changes weren't made sooner. Because, listen, Martinelli came on and did fuck all. But I would have probably put him on a bit earlier to, Leon Bailey came on first.
Scored a goal.
Aston Villa were more proactive in their attacking substitution. So that showed that, they saw something in the game and they got it.
Absolutely. And obviously, speaking about the goals, I think it's safe to say that both goals came from somewhat of defensive mishaps. Obviously, the goal, everyone let the ball go through them for the first one, and then obviously playing such a high line and leaving Watkins completely open, and for Emile Smith-Rowe to be the one to defending him, he had no chance. What's happened to those two, William Saliba and Gabriel, over the last two games? Because they've been unstoppable all season. Even people will go as far as to say Europe's best duo centre back partnership. What's happened to those two over the last two games?
Listen, Munich is another game. Today, I actually look at it and think the first goal, I wouldn't call it defensive mishap. I think a ball like that across the box, Gabriel tried to deal with the first guy. He stopped him from getting it. Saliba probably not enough of a distance to probably just Rice, I look at and say maybe if he looked over his shoulder and spotted his man, then we wouldn't be in that position. But obviously, where was the defender in that case too? So I think first goal, it was coming and it came, and I'm not going to point the finger at anyone. But the second goal, the high line, it was like we was chasing. After the first goal, it felt like we had to throw the kitchen sink at it, and we conceded on the counter. But what I'm more frustrated about is we didn't throw the kitchen sink at it. It just felt like, is it coming? Is it coming? Is it coming? And it never came. The kitchen sink is still very firmly set in the wall, no damage whatsoever, because we didn't ever look like wanting to rip it off the wall and chuck it at them, and it's a damning blow at a time where we can't afford them. And I think, Man City win today without even playing.
Absolutely. And obviously you mentioned, you can't afford the blows at this stage. How do we pick ourselves from this up from this point and, go into the game on Wednesday against Bayern Munich, away from home, Champions League quarterfinal? The pressure is really on now. Where do we go from here?
We have to, listen, if the players want to, continue trying to make a season of this, I think we have to beat Munich. I think we have to go there and be positive. I think we can do it. Odds are stacked against us there as well. I think Bayern are favourites, of course, but I think we can do it. They've got to look at themselves. I mean, the level of performance hasn't been great over the last few games, not just the last couple that, haven't gone our way. So I think they've got to look at themselves. I think, some of the players got to ask themselves questions. I think Rice, last couple of games, it's been his poorest. I think Saka, last couple of games, he's been poor. As much as he scored against Munich, I didn't see much else. And I'm saying Saka and Rice because they've been a driving force behind this season and why we are where we are. So those are two key players I'm going to look at. We've just got to dust ourselves off. Listen, I saw Arsenal get knocked out the FA Cup by United, then get knocked out the Champions League by Chelsea, and then go, face a Liverpool side where, we're down. And it looks like, we can potentially throw the title down the drain too. And, we bounced back, dusted ourselves off, and still went on for a historic season. So that's what the players have to do. Maybe even use the fact that they should feel like they've let the fans down. They should, in that first half, feel like they let Arteta down, So maybe use that as fuel to get the job done against Munich. Because if we go out to Munich now, off the back of pretty much, saying to Man City, here it is, take it, with the Premier League title, yeah, man, it's just a sour end it's another sour end to what was looking like a sweet season.